Hello, everybody, and welcome to Roll Call, the Roll with Advantage talk show podcast thing. I don't know. I really wanted to do something that where my players could talk about maybe rationale behind why they were playing things the way they were, or theorizing about the campaign. And in a format that is conversational and fun. I feel like we don't get to talk about the campaign that often. That's not true. We talk about it a lot. This way we can do it for the camera, and it's all fun. So first things first, how this is going to work out. It's going to last about an hour, and it's broken up into 20-minute segments. So first up, we have the Explorers of Athera. You can see right up there. After the Explorers of Athera, we'll have the Salamander Coast on, and then finally we're going to end with the Isles of Avarion. Kind of in the order that the campaign started canonically. So we're going to go through, we're going to talk about them in 20-minute chunks. So at like 3:25, 3:26, we'll swap to Salamander Coast, talk to Connor and Felicity. Then when we go to Isles, we're going to talk to Jareth and Kayla. For the Explorers of Athera, we're here. We're talking to LS, who's right there next to me, and Ryan, who is right down there below me. So
hello.
Hi.
Yes. We got actually quite a few people in the chat, which is cool. So first things first, we're gonna start off with something. This is the first episode. Ooh, so official. This is the first episode. So for people who may just be tuning in, or maybe they just watched the last episode of Athera and they're like, oh, I like those characters. Just the two of you, I was wondering if you could kind of give like where your main inspiration came from your character, then also like your favorite moment from playing them thus far in the campaign.
Oh boy.
I know. Big questions.
Who should go first?
We'll go clockwise, so Ryan.
Okay, sweet. So, funny story. So when I originally attempted to join the campaign, Joe rejected me and turned me down. He said I wasn't good enough and that no one would ever want to play with me. None of that is true. I mean, I did get rejected, but the rest of it was superfluous and not true. But, long story happened. One of the original players of Athera left, and so Joe and I had recently reestablished contact because I wanted to know how the game was going, and he invited me to join once again. And so naturally I was like, okay, how do I get these guys to like me so that where they keep me in the campaign? And so I was looking at what they needed, and they really needed someone who could heal. So I was like, a cleric. So I actually really built a lot of Varnast as a character based on what I thought the group needed and what would affect the group dynamic. Uh-huh. So along with a Tempest cleric, who those are just like my favorite kind of clerics because I think they're awesome. I wanted to think really like personality-wise and character-wise, what did the group really need? And it seemed like that there was a lot of young blood in this group, so I wanted to create a character that was a little bit older and kind of more set in his ways, especially because as a cleric who's like wise, I felt like having some age to go with that made a lot of sense. So yeah, a lot of it was just kind of building around what I felt the group dynamic would be enhanced upon, and like what would add a lot of, conflicting opinions and some drama, which boy has it certainly done that at times.
It definitely has worked.
But yeah,
out.
that's where a lot of the inspiration for Varnast came, was just kind of seeing what the group needed.
Mm-hmm. Nice. And then so then LS, what was your big inspiration for Morganics then?
When I applied to join the game, I threw a ton of character ideas at you. I think there were like 4 or 5. But I liked the idea of a character who is not an adventurer and did not choose this life, and B, so many warlocks really embrace that side, and
so edgy.
Yeah, they're power hungry and kind of addicted to it. I really liked the idea of this straight-laced little librarian who was terrified of her hexblade and didn't want it. So that's really, it all just builded from there, the idea of a character who is afraid of her power, and sort of built from there, made her an ASMR because it was like polar opposite, like two sides of the spectrum, sort of.
Mm-hmm.
And she grew from there and started eating my brain.
And I think one of my favorite things has been seeing her change from this like meek little librarian lady who like doesn't want to speak too loud and doesn't want to be too seen too far like away from the crowd to now being the person literally talking to the former queen of the succubi like I don't like you and one day I'm going to destroy you. Like it has been
Yeah.
some very top tier character building there. So then second part of that is sort of the moment where like you have really either felt really cool or you had some really nice like dramatic payoff for your character. Just to kind of give them a flavor of what is important to you as a player and what is important to your character, where they really cared about that moment. I know, big question.
Well, yeah. It's always hard because I feel like we're just surrounded by like so many good moments that it's so hard to pick like just one. Because I feel like I could throw a dartboard at any episode and just be like, "Oh my gosh, like that was
the
great."
whole board.
The whole board.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Why, you disagree with that?
No, that's a power move. Respect.
As
Yeah.
opposed
Yeah.
to
Thank
just
you.
individual darts, yeah. The whole
One of my favorite moments, just because I felt like it's something that you don't get to see a lot in D&D, was actually with Morgonix. But it was when we were just entering into Baramichi's tomb and we had fought a lot of the water elementals. The two of them had a really nice chat about Varnath's state of mind, because they like the group had kind of been slightly fighting amongst themselves for a little bit. And Varnath was kind of trying to clear the air, and he was trying to kind of get someone to understand like where he was coming from, because at this time he still believed that he was going to die come the end of the mission because of what took place in All's Crossing. It's a long story, but yeah, I felt like the chat that he had with Morgonix was just very like, despite like the action that had like just taken place, it was such like a quiet, character-driven moment that I thought was very beautiful to see these like two characters that are so vastly different, but seeing them come together through like trying to understand each other more. I don't know, there was just something I really always like really love about that moment.
No.
Oh, so sweet, so sweet. All right, what about you, LS? Where's your kind of big moment come from?
It's kind of hard to say because she kind of has them frequently. You just kind of throw them at me when I'm not really expecting. I'm thinking, oh, I'm going to do this little random thing. And it's like, oh, no, he has plans for this. He knew I was going to. How? But I really love her sort of kind of forcing herself into the role as like the mom friend and trying to take care of everybody and failing miserably. That's, I think, really been showing itself in the past few episodes, and she's bad at it. She doesn't know what these people need. But she's trying, and she cares, and she wants to. Just seeing her grow into this role, and it's like, well, I didn't ask for this, but here I am, and just trying to make the best of it. It's just been a real pleasure to play. She's so much fun.
Aw.
And you need to turn yourself up before Gemma has a coronary.
I know. I added a little bit of gain to myself, or hopefully a lot of bit of gain. So hopefully that should. I was working on it. I didn't want to interrupt these wonderful words that my lovely players were saying. So kind of there have been two big things that are now changing a bit. Well, one thing that has kind of stayed the same, and then one thing that's like a really big change in the campaign so far, where like most of the time you guys have been like down on your luck, or somebody's always been ahead of you, or you're starting from scratch, and it really seems like, even from my perspective as the DM, that once you guys get past New Verdalka, that's like the last thing. Like that's going to be one of the last times that you're down on your luck and you are alone. Because right now you've got Jalissa and like 13 people who are kind of shitty and yourselves, and that's it. But once you get past that, things open up. So I'm kind of curious, what, like if there was like just like a week or two of downtime, what would be the thing that your character then goes to do that they haven't been able to do that they just really would do to like relax themselves? Like, bad stuff is finally past for the most part. I can breathe.
I think Varnash would spend the first day trying to figure out what he would even do to relax, because I feel like he's one of those guys that's like always working.
Yeah.
Like when they're like,
Right.
"Hey man, do you like want some overtime?" He's like, "Hell yeah, I want some overtime." Like he just like loves his job. If he truly had to go relax, honestly, I think it would just be something like very small and quiet. Like if he really just kind of needed to go away and he needed to do something to relax, he'd fish.
Oh,
Like just getting a pole, just kind of going out to a dock and just throwing it and just kind of like relaxing, letting the quiet water just kind of, be the only sound he hears, along with the occasional, fight to pull the fish in. Yeah, that would be his activity of choice for relaxation.
That's so wholesome. Jamie, you need to stop with these jokes. But I think that it is so rare that because Varnest is an old man, like he's only 40, But
He's
like,
in his 40s.
Trust me, it's old. It feels old.
but like I think that like it's so on brand, because I feel like because of everything Varnest has experienced, he really is like an 80-year-old man in a 40-year-old's body, where he's just so, maybe jaded isn't the right word, but you know what I mean?
He's tired.
Yeah. Like, I could just really see him just like, all right, I'm retired. Or like, well, who's the guy from, it was from Die Hard, right? Is it Danny Glover?
You mean Lethal?
Yeah.
How dare you?
Oh God, was I wrong?
Dare you?
Oh, I was wrong.
You confused Bruce Willis from Die Hard with Danny Glover from Lethal Weapon. How dare you, sir?
Well, the I'm getting too old for this shit, Like,
Danny Glover.
that was Danny Glover. Okay. No, yeah, it was from Lethal Weapon. Damn, it's from Retirement. Yeah, too old for this. So yeah, those two things I could just see within the next like year of campaign time, not year of playtime, but year of campaign time. I could really see Varnest getting into like that type of like, fucking here we go. All right, let me put on my shield. God damn it.
The world needs to be saved again. I guess I'll do it again. I'll step up again.
Which is really, really, I really like that idea, because so many people, like, they don't play older characters, which I love older characters, like characters who are like 50, like 40, 50 years old.
Yeah.
And I think that's why a lot of my NPCs end up being like older people. I feel like I'm very rarely ever kids, and when I am, I feel like all of my kids speak like adults, or they are very close, But maybe that's just maybe that's just me. But yeah, I don't know. Poor Tyrk. Tyrk was different. Tyrk was very, very old. But like, I think that it's interesting. Like, why did you want to play an older person? Was it just because of like the young bloods with the kids, or the younger people, or?
It was also a challenge to myself, because I feel like I've always played characters that are like in their 20s or like lower 30s, which is still kind of close enough for me to like connect with and just be like, yeah, like I'm 29, I can totally imagine that like 30, 31, like, yeah, it's different, but it can't be like that much different from right now. Whereas 40, that's one of those things where I'm like, man, that still seems old to me. And like, I know that like in the grand scheme of things, if I was like, oh yeah, Varnest is like an old man, a lot of people would be like, what is wrong with you? Like I have a grandma who's like 97, so I know like 40 isn't old. Yeah. But I just think it's kind of like interesting to see someone who has probably lived around like really close to like half their life, assuming that they eventually like get to die from old age at some point,
Mm-hmm.
Whereas like, I think he contrasts really well with someone like Alec, who's legit like 18 and still very much kind of, I don't want to say like things like a child, because like that sounds rude, but I think you know what I mean. She still has like all this like energy with like the way that she like approaches things, whereas Varnest is much more like, all right, cool, I hear what you're saying, but here's the facts. I want to win. This is what we need to do. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm all for you, like all this like ride or die kind of stuff, but I want to win. So let's get down to brass tacks here.
It's actually funny that you say that, because I think that whether Varnas knows it or not, he's kind of rubbing off on Alec because of the way that she's been acting the past couple of sessions.
Oh, interesting. I haven't seen that.
Well, where she's like, you were saying the thing about like not childlike, but like energy and that tenacity, but like she has become very like jaded almost, and obviously that's because of yikes, the stuff that she's sort of discovered. But I do think that she is starting to become. I think that Varnast is rubbing off a little bit, and I don't know if Kayla is doing that intentionally or if that's just kind of an accident of the situation. But I'm, especially based off of what you just see, I'm starting to see it like a little bit. And I don't know if that's just my bias now towards it, but I think she's doing it on accident. I don't know. Like Alec is. Kayla might be doing it on purpose because she's a master storyteller. But
I guess we'll wait and see.
Yeah, I guess we will. Okay. LS, what about you? What is Morganix doing on her day off?
The thing is with Morganix is even if they win New Verdalka and it's like, okay, new chapter, her mission hasn't ended. Mm-hmm. She is still very much on a time limit here and is very aware of that. So I think her supposed day off would probably be seeing if Duncan's library still exists and raiding it. And if not, seeing maybe if Agatha had one, what knowledge sources she has here. And just rage reading, basically. She has a lot of research to do, and she, her mission doesn't end in New Verdalka. She's got quite a few steps ahead of her.
Yeah,
I think we can all... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead, girl. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I think we can all agree that I don't think anyone's mission ends in New Verdalka. Like, I hear what you're saying, but this is not the end. Like, I actually don't agree with Joe at all, that it's like, oh yeah, after New Verdalka, like, things are going to be, like less intense and more easy. Like, I think New Afera is a completely different kind of beast. I think New Verdalka is another hill that's in our way, but we're not done yet.
Yeah, it's just that with Morganix, it's a bit of a narrower focus. Like, she has 3 months on one side, and there have been other prophecies about her general life expectancy and
True.
But right now, all she's seeing is that 3 months. Like, she's on a time crunch.
Yeah.
That's fair.
So then what does that time crunch then really... That's rough. That is rough. So, like, when she is looking forward...
You did it to me.
I know. I'm aware of what
you're just thinking about... Oh, no.
God.
I kid.
No, you are right. I did do it.
You're cutting out really bad, Joe.
Oh, am I?
Yeah, your audio is crap today.
Oh, no.
Sorry.
Oh, that's okay. No, I'd prefer you say something. I think that what it might be is...
It sounds like you're on speakerphone or something.
Really? Did that help at all? Is this helping?
No.
Really? Mm.
But, I can hear you now. You're not cutting out now.
Yeah, it just seems like you get, like, really far away at certain times.
Yeah. That's
it doesn't sound like campaign quality.
Yeah, that's very interesting.
Remember, first episode, people. There will be technical errors. First episode.
Yeah, I do have an issue with like gain and audio cut off at a certain point, and I'm not exactly sure why. It's just stuff to mess around with, hopefully this sounds better, because I did turn the gain down a little bit on the mic itself.
It does sound better, yeah.
Okay, cool. It sounds a little bit less blown out, which is good.
Anyways, what were you saying?
Oh no, I was just saying about Morganix that does put her in a really, really awkward spot, because do you think that she's going to want to like endanger the party then and bring that up to them and be like, hey, I need to do this, will you help me? Or is she going to try and carry that burden by herself?
I don't like the word endanger. It wouldn't be something like that, but at a certain point, like if there was a conflict, like we could either go do this or we can go work on. We have this lead of how to rebind Melkanthed or something like that. Morganix's priority, she wouldn't like it, but I think it would have to come out. She would have to advocate for herself a little of, I don't have time for, if right now she has nothing to go off of, so she's able to roll with it, and she does care very deeply about the natives and about the situation with the trading company, and she really believes in what they're doing, and she's all for this little revolution. But if a lead were to come up, she would very much feel the need to go pursue it alone if necessary, because again, 3 months.
That is not a lot of time to like be okay with your life being in the balance,
Yeah.
Oh,
and
man.
She's fighting against an enemy who is much stronger and much wiser than her, who has a full deck of cards, and she's playing blind, basically.
Yeah, just because the cards are dealt, you just have to roll with the punches.
If any advantage fell in her lap, she would very much feel like she must pursue it.
Okay.
But she might not like it. She might feel bad about it. But simple fact.
Yeah, and I could see that being some really interesting, like development for Organics is like, how low is she willing to go in order to beat this woman, to beat this thing?
At this point, she's pretty much decided, she has to embrace this, whether she likes it or not, and she will do anything to sort of right her wrongs.
Yeah.
She has to fix this.
Alrighty. Well, cool. So that's a good note to end on, because that is the end of our Explorers of Ephera time. But that does give us some stuff to thonk about there. I think I just really like doing these because of what they give me to think about the different characters and what you guys decide to do. And look at that, we're attacked by a wild Felicity has appeared.
Hello.
And you got a crazy echo, Felicity.
Really? Oh, yes.
Yeah, I can hear it.
Dang it. I'm listening. I was like, I heard that it was, I do this. I took a screenshot instead of lowering the volume. Okay. Me and technology.
You're going to want that later.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
it'll be a funny memory. I'll post it.
Just turn the thaumaturgy off. Oh, my God.
Sorry.
On that note, I think it's time for us to go, LS.
Yeah. Well,
yep.
You guys get kicked
We have worn out our welcome.
Let's make this a smooth transition, and I made it the least smooth transition there possibly could be.
No, it's perfect for a first episode. It's great. I love it.
Yeah.
No, we can.
It's like a cleric rolling a stealth check. Let's be real.
Hey.
Yeah.
I did athletics and I rolled a 25. It was fine.
Bye, guys. Have fun.
Bye. Thanks for hanging out.
To you, Salamander Coast. Until next time.
So, let me see. Where am I getting placed here? All right, I'm getting placed beneath each one of you. So, hello. Welcome to hello. Shadow Wolf, good to have you here. Happy to hear that people are stopping by. So, for those of you that do not know, this is the Roll Call, the Roll with Advantage podcast talk show thing, where we just kind of talk about the 3 different campaigns on the channel. We have 2 people on from each campaign. We just talk. We just hang out. We're just vibing together. So we have 2 people here from the Salamander Coast, which live streams on Tuesdays at 5:30 Central Standard Time. We have this is Felicity, who I'm pointing to right now, who plays Bianca, and Connor right here, who plays Ashima. In the Salamander Coast. So if you just...
That's me.
That's Connor. That's Connor. If you guys just want to say hi, so that way they at least know what you sound like.
All right, yeah. Hi, everybody.
This is Felicity.
That is Felicity. Alrighty. So we're going to talk about the Salamander Coast, and we're going to talk about some things. If you guys have any questions in the chat that you want to ask the Salamander Coast, by the way, please do. I'd be more than happy to
yes, I'm gonna pull it up as well.
Yeah. However, I do want to start off with one thing that's really important. It has been the biggest subject of discussion, one of the most important things that's come up in the campaign thus far, where it's really kind of changed everything. So, Felicity, Connor, is he or is he not Captain Darrow, of course, the true hero of the Salamander Coast campaign?
Oh my god.
Who told you that? Ryan.
The thing is, more people have been saying it lately.
Okay.
I'm actually curious.
So, not in my opinion, but I also don't
That
think
checks
he's
out.
a villain.
Okay. Let's play a game. You guys know that I like to play this game. Let's play the game. Let's assume that they're right. Okay.
Lisa's willing to die for it, by the way.
Let's assume. Yeah, Lisa. Let's assume you're right. Why is Captain Darrow the hero of the campaign?
True. Ball back in y'all's court.
I'm not disagreeing. I'm just why.
So we'll put the ball back in their court, and we'll let them, theorize, get their presentation put together while we talk about something that's, he never shot a horse.
Okay.
He did kill a minor.
He did. And that's a human being. He also hit his son.
Child abuse is not good. That's at least 12 not good
Well,
points.
there's child abuse, which is pretty bad. But then there's like child murder, which I generally find to be a little worse.
Right. And Ashima hasn't fully said all the crap that Captain Darrow's done in the Eastern Salamander, but apparently there's some shit. Yeah.
So I guess again, again, we're gonna play. Let's assume that the opposition is correct. So if Captain Darrow is the hero being, again, we'll say the good guy, not protagonist, because that's something entirely different. But the hero implying good person, then we have to also agree that child murder is not as bad as shooting a horse.
I guess it just depends who you ask.
Yeah,
I
and so,
agree with you.
hey, if that's a hill you want to die on, be my guest. But
Connor Ashima this answer, so
Hey, that's great. I love it. Okay, so let's talk about something that's not a meme. How about that?
Yeah.
So
No, I'm here for the memes, though.
Are there any salamanders? Are there any salamanders in the Salamander Coast? That I can answer that. Yes, there are 3 salamanders.
I'm excited to meet them, hopefully.
Hopefully one day. Also, Gemma disagrees with you, Connor. Death to all children.
I would agree with you, Gemma, but I feel like I'd lose my IRL job. So
Yeah, I gotta also die on.
I'm not going to disagree, but I'm going to keep my mouth shut.
Yeah. Okay. So let's talk about something legitimate that happened last session that I think that has sort of changed everything, really.
Yeah.
So we know the events. The 3 of us do. But for those of you who only 3 salamanders. For those of you that didn't watch last week's episode, pretty much because there wasn't communication between the 2 halves of the party when they were split up, they ended up incriminating themselves to seem like they belonged to a group of terrorists in the nation of Bella Clara known as the Brotherhood. Now, these are people that they've been looking for, the law's been looking for, and they thought, because of some things the party did, they might be associated with them. And now, that association is, it's starting to come true a little bit just because of what Cecily and Desmond did, lying to the guards, lying to the interrogators, saying they were a part of it and that they knew, while Bianca and Ashima here said that they had no idea. They don't know. We're not a part of this. And the captain of the guard let those 2 go. And then the other 2, Cecily and Desmond, incriminated themselves, thus incriminating the rest of the party. And now they're running away. They've killed horses and maybe killed some guards. They're not exactly sure yet. But now they're on the run from the law for a crime they never committed. So that has some heavy implications for the campaign, and especially these next few sessions of travel. So I'm curious, Connor and Felicity, where are Ashima and Bianca at right now? Like mentally, like what are they thinking in this current moment? Like what's their next step? After, spooky ice creatures aside, what's their next step after this?
Oh, geez. I think Connor's answer is going to be super interesting just because of who Ashima is. But for Bianca, I mean, I think I said it out of character. Maybe I said it as Bianca, but like Bianca didn't really want to go on an adventure to just still be doing the same crap. She kind of was like expecting there to be some risky stuff. Maybe not this risky right away. But she's like not overly shocked that they're in some really deep crap. You know, where you're like, if you're about to like go adventure and like just do a bunch of stuff and like your mercenaries, she already knows what Bella Clara is like. She kind of is just like new, especially with the group she's traveling with. Like Poe's not around, and then all we got for a moral compass is Ashima. Like it was already kind of set up for some kind of disaster. This just really exploded though. So Bianca is kind of like just like very still ride or die vibes where she's like, okay, so here's what we got to do. This is just, we got to get out of here. We got to be in hiding. She's already thinking about like, I actually sat down and did some research because she has her horns like point up. So when she has a hood up, they kind of stick out. But I Googled how to like trim down ram horns, and apparently you can up to a certain point and then it bleeds. So she might actually in the next session or two, like just kind of like instead of cutting hair, you know, where people cut their hair or dye their hair to like change and hide, she's gonna like shave down her horns a little bit probably just to help stay in hiding.
Damn, that is brutal. Oh god. And I know
it's like trimming your toenails, except for like you can't go past a certain point, then it hurts.
Yeah, I think the bigger thing for me is though it's such a bigger, you know, like horns and a tiefling matters so much more than than I care about my toenails, you know?
That's true. Yeah.
So, to me that's like the equivalent of like me shaving my head or shaving off my beard just to try and look different. Like that's a big thing to do just to try and avoid people.
Yeah.
But I mean,
it's an identity thing for sure. So we'll see. But that's kind of like her thought process is just like, all right, we're here. There's no going back. So make the choices to be safe or get caught and probably be made as a warning sign in the middle of Belka's square where we die. Like, you know, make some strong choices.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Oh, that's some good stuff. What about you, Connor? Where is Ashima at right now? I'm sure the polar opposite almost.
Yeah, so this has been said a lot in regards to alignments, that the most interesting thing that alignments do, I mean, obviously they're kind of just a compass. You don't really need to follow them to a point. They just kind of point a direction. I think the most interesting part of role-playing with alignments comes when you have to choose between the two factors. So, like, Ashima is lawful good, to a fault sometimes. This is a situation where he has to choose between lawful and good.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that's really when the interesting roleplay comes out. So in this moment, yeah, you know, Ashima's not really thrilled about being about what's happened. You know, he really wished that Desmond and Cecily had showed more restraint in their interrogation, but at the same time, he understands that they were being tortured, and that they are both minors as well. So any guard or law that results to that, you know, that's really, and I said this in the chat, you know, laws are meant to protect people, and if the laws don't protect you, don't protect the law. And, you know, I think that's something that Ashima holds very dear. You know, if the government is going to capture you and interrogate you and accuse you of crimes with no proof, what's the point of following them? And so I think right now he just wants to get out of Bella Clara.
Yeah. Huh. And I I really, I didn't even think about the. Oh, hi, I have a cat now with me. I didn't even think about the implication, and I wonder. I don't think anybody else in the party is, except for maybe Poe, and since he's going to be back on Tuesday, the implication of lawful good in this situation, and I think that has some really interesting, some really interesting. Implications on how the dynamic changes between the party and Poe when he's back. And I'm excited to see how Evan plays that,
Yeah, so sorry, Evan.
Yeah, him and I are doing that one shot tomorrow, the short 2-hour one-on-one shot, and just sitting down with him and explaining everything before we start playing. Oh my.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Gonna have a connection. We're gonna come back and you're like, all right, quick retcon. It wasn't Poe. Poe's not coming back. It's now Nomi, the halfling paladin.
Oh my god.
Yeah, that's about where I think it's gonna be. But okay, so cool. That's interesting to learn both of your perspectives on that. Oh wow, yeah. There's actually an interesting thing going on where like horn, not just trimming but also carving is something you could do, and then being like a rune knight fighter where you carve runes into your weapons and armor, and that's how they're magical. But instead doing that to your horns.
Yeah.
Carving magic into your horns.
Do tieflings shed their antlers every winter?
No, because horns are extensions of. Well, I'm assuming it's more like a ram, right? Because it's an extension of the skull. I think antlers are more like hair, where you can go bald.
Huh.
Tieflers, yeah, that's canon now. It's a thing. It's like, it's the corrupt bloodline of tieflings extended to animals as well. So there's just elk running around with demon blood.
We're just red furred or red pelted,
It's canon, but
it's not canonical.
What was I gonna say? I don't recall. If you chop off one of your horns, can I use it as a shofar?
Yes, but she'd be in a lot of pain.
Okay.
So the goal is to not chop off the horns, just trim them down. But we'll see, I guess. Maybe I'll roll a natural 1 and be hornless. So.
Oh God. Oh. Yeah, so we have Tiefler sounds like a cute version of Tieflings, like how Cat becomes Cato.
Yeah.
Like that. Like Tiefling pet name. Little Tiefler.
Cute.
And then oh my gosh. Oh, thank you, Milk Toger, for the gifted sub to Gemma. That's so nice. It would be so much better if Gemma didn't hate me so much, but that's okay. I'm just joking. Thank you so much for the support donation. That's so nice. And Gemma does love me. She just doesn't want to admit it because Joe bad, because it's a meme. But whatever, that's okay. I'm willing to deal with it. Imagine being such a legend. I know, right? So thank you, Milk Toger. That's great. Let's see. Let's we got 3 minutes left. What's the last thing we want to talk about here? Here it is. If your character, super quick, if your character had not fallen down this path, like even Ashima hadn't fallen down or gotten picked up by the monks, and Bianca had, never been a tiefling, right? The two things that kind of propelled them into this life, what would they be doing right now? Like, everything else is happening that's shit for these people. Cecily, Desmond, and Poe are still in this situation, but Bianca and Ashima are not. Their lives never got changed. What are they doing?
Oh, wow.
I've actually thought about this, and I've kind of implied it a bit, that Ashima's parents were hippies. So I think that would have either gone beneficially, like Ashima just would have been a gigantic hippie, probably wandering around the salamanders, peace and love, harmony and stuff, but not in a Tong Wu way, more of a hey, peace and love, you got any acid on you kind of way. Alternatively, I think growing up in that environment, he might have become a bit more violent and unruly. He might have become like a thief or a rogue of some sort.
Yeah, that's really to see like what he would have to see what path he would have gone down, and like who knows, maybe he would have still ended up with the group, you know? Like if he was living in La Char with his hippie parents, and then, something bad happened, he never got to be a monk and he ended up having to leave home. Could there have been a situation where he was still with the party, but he was just like a shifty halfling rogue?
Yeah, that's definitely possible, especially with this group.
Yeah.
Free love, man.
If anything, him and a hippie rogue. Oh, I love that idea. But him and Cecily would probably be good friends.
Probably.
Like they'd get along really well, which is really funny. Also, apparently, Alec and Ashima would have gotten along really well together if he was like a free love hippie rogue. I agree with that.
I believe it.
I believe it, yeah. All right, Bianca. Felicity, that's who you are. You're not Bianca right now. What does Bianca's life look like if she's not a tiefling?
She enjoyed like studies and scholarly stuff, so like she probably just would have stuck around in school longer than she did instead of trying to leave Belka. She knew a couple wizards or training wizards back in school, so she may have like opted for that because since she was so like studious, she hung out with the other studious people. She probably just would have like been either like a scholar or a historian or become some kind of wizard. Something definitely still in like the educated kind of like realm of Belka. Because I mean, Bloodhunter is like educated but different, like very different kind of way of that.
Yeah.
So I think that's probably she just probably would have vibed better with people in school. Stuck around in school longer and stuck around in Belka longer because she probably would have gotten, if she wasn't a tiefling, the stuff that propelled her away from Belka probably wouldn't have propelled her away. So, yeah.
Oh, so she definitely would have just hung out there and then continued to get her, like degree and then her master's and then, be just like a professor of anthropology or something,
Probably. I mean, she still probably had like some kind of wanderlust and probably would adventure out, but she would do it in a much different way and a little bit more stereotypical. Even if she doesn't like the government and stuff, like if she had no reason to really go against it, she wouldn't. Now she does, but
yeah.
So it's kind of like one of the, where most people are like, yeah, the government sucks, but what can you do? That's probably what she would do and just be like, well, I'm going to study and travel. And so she could have ran into the party at some point, maybe even helped them out in some way, but it would have been just a very different kind of thing.
It's really interesting. Because I could see Bianca ended up like falling in line with the Athera party because like because I don't know if something there's something that compels Bianca to stay in Bella Clara aside from just her family being here, but like if she was never a tiefling, maybe she would have never felt like there's something that she has to stay with. And she gets that degree in, whatever, something that you still can adventure with, like archaeology or anthropology, and she goes to Athera to study the culture there, or to look for ruins and explore those. And she ends up meeting the party there, and I could see that happening. I think that's a really interesting, like line of thought to go down when it comes to your characters. Like, how could they be integrated into a different campaign if their life was a little different?
Oh yeah, that definitely would happen. Because especially with the Civil War stuff kind of going on there, she probably would side with the Athera or the group, and so.
Yeah, I still like to imagine she'd be pretty metal. Like she still has a revolver with her.
Oh yeah. Well, her father was like a warrior, so she definitely still has that background. He's not a warrior anymore after he fell in love and got married and had a child, but he still she has those interests. So like, y'all, all that metal stuff is thanks to her dad. So whenever we call Bianca metal, that's her dad.
Daddy Bianca, who did it?
Yep.
Oh man. Okay. Alrighty. Well, that is all our time for Salamander Coast. So thank you, Felicity. Thank you, Connor, for being here. I appreciate you.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you guys are players. It'd be kind of weird if I was just sitting in here by myself talking about it.
It's fun to have a conversation too.
Yeah, it's fun to talk about. Okay. All right. Well, if we could get Jareth and Kayla in here to talk about some Isles of Avarion, that would be awesome. Yeah.
Righty.
Get them in here.
There's Kayla. Oh. Alrighty, and there is.
Yeah.
There is. Sweet. We got Jareth.
All right.
We got Kayla. All right. Well,
Have fun, everybody.
Oh, thank you very much. Farewell. Daddy Do Song. Ooh, that is a good name for it. Oh, and then I gotta move my little person here. Alrighty, so let's go ahead and transition to Isles. And bada bing, bada boom. Hi. Okay. So here we are, Isles of Avarion. For those of you just tuning in, welcome to the Roll with Advantage podcast roll call, where we talk about the different character choices or story beats from any of the 3 campaigns that I run on on Twitch here, and we're just going to talk about them. So every week we're going to have 2 people on. In this case, we have Jareth. Look at that! I've got a cat on me now. Hey there, Trouble. I've got. There you go. You want to be in the podcast?
We got our own trouble over here.
Yeah. Oh gosh. Oh, where's he going? Okay. All right. That's fine. You can go that way. All right. So where we have 2 people on from each campaign, just to talk about the campaign and talk about their characters. And where's he going? Okay, he's hanging out. He's on the desk right now. Yeah, you can see him popping out right there. Okay, no. All right, he's just gonna be in front of me here. That's fine. He is a cute boy. Oh, there he is. Hey, look who it is. But yeah, so we're gonna talk about the campaign. So, Jareth, Kayla, if you're just gonna want to introduce yourself and let the people know which character you play in Isles of Avarion.
Okay, so hi, my name is Kayla. I play Nelthian Benir. He is a very handsome dark elf who is an Echo Knight. And yeah.
Thank you. And then Jareth?
So I play a young human girl. She is a conjuration wizard. She tries to keep people out of trouble as much as she can, but they seem to always end up in trouble no matter what.
That is oh man, okay, Trouble. All right, here we go. We're gonna scoot you over here. That's all right. There we go. Oh, all right, there we go. Hello. So, we're gonna talk about the campaign, and fun fact about Isles is they'll actually be maybe about 20. All right, Trouble. You gotta go, buddy. About 20 minutes after this is over, they're actually going to be doing a very short like pickup session. So there's a lot happening in the campaign right now. A lot of theories and a lot of information. Trouble, dude. A lot of information that has been kind of thrown their way. So I'm curious to know, like, your guys' opinion on, where in what direction do you think this information is going, and like, what does it mean to your characters?
That's a good question. I think the direction of the campaign has been very different than the other 2 campaigns. Because one point that a lot of us have, I think, made many times over is at how like smooth the campaign started, and just how well all of our characters kind of meshed. And it started off very like lighthearted to a certain degree, and just very these oddball mix of characters coming together and deciding to work together for the everybody has their own mutual benefit out of this, but it started off kind of a little bit more lighthearted. But I feel like within the last session,
Oh, wait a second. You kind of died there.
set in. I mean, think about the encounter that we're just about to walk into. There's a ship full of Minotaurs. We are outnumbered, severely outsized, and we just walked onto a ship that's not ours, manned by a bunch of Minotaurs. So, like, I feel like the danger level in the campaign is starting to increase, and I think that lightheartedness is going to turn into a little bit more of a serious threat level. Like, we are the definition of adventurers.
Yeah, the creature. Yeah, the Iverion, definitely has grown really strong, and I do see that. Like, the tone shift is very apparent. But I think that just because of the nature of the characters, it's going to be nice because I think that they're still going to be lighthearted in some aspects. Like you can't have a character. You're back now.
Okay.
It was very briefly. It was only a couple of seconds.
Okay.
But you have a character. You can't have a character like Nalthian and not still have there be some levity to a campaign.
Yeah, that's valid. That's valid. And like for him, he's always been, since he's been on the surface, kind of a rolling stone. So now that he has found a group that he enjoys in one way or another,
Oh yeah.
yeah, he's making money too, and like I think right now that's what's most important to him. So that's Nalpian's perspective.
Yeah, Izzy's perspective. Things are changing. Danger went up way exponentially, and she's trying to figure out what she has got herself into. It started as like a simple job from her mentor, and now she's got to reevaluate the situation because she does feel protective over quite a few of the members of the group, and especially with a younger child with them, even though they are powerful. That's always in her mind, like what do I need to do to keep this young one alive? And she doesn't have a lot of experience adventuring herself. She's a merchant. She sells her gifts and earns money, and so she's kind of in it for the money and learning new tricks also. But it's coming into where she has to step up.
Which is, I think that it's very apparent. Like say the issue with Captain Harvester, right, and the debate between running back into the jungle or running back into the forest to stop him or not. Because the thing I'm sure it was running through Izzy's head was, if they were to do that, they would be endangering not just Grok, who was already really low on HP or was just hurt, but also Twig. You knew that there were more crew members in this forest on this island. You knew that they probably have traps set up because they've been here for a while. So there are things to keep in mind, and I think that why I really appreciate you in that moment allowing Nalfian to make that persuasion check, because that's you as a player saying Izzy's really in between on this. Like, she's literally 50-50. She could go either way. And I thought that was a really good character moment. Because
in that moment she was angry. Like, it was a deep heart hurt for her, because she really cares about her familiar. It's not just oh well, I can resummon her. That doesn't play in her mind. She's not okay with just resummoning.
Yeah.
And with her ties to Lizzie, she was very upset about it. But because she is, really intelligent, what Nalf had said had reasons, and there was those other dangers out there. So she was really on the fence. I'm glad Nalf rode high on the persuasion, because she would have taken off if not.
Yeah, Nalf can be a little bit of a
Charmer.
Yeah, a little bit of a charmer, but like he also knows when to be serious and genuine as well.
Yeah, and that's one thing that I actually wanted to talk about, just because I think one of the hardest things to do as a player, and one thing that, I think that you do really well, Kayla, and I'm not just saying this because you're my wife, I'm saying this because I really admire this about you as a player, is your ability to go back and forth between, like, I'm gonna act like an aggressive fuckboy, and I'm actually a genuine human being who has feelings and cares about people.
And here's my thing: when I was first of all, Nalfian has been an inspired character from from, like I said, like a text RP that I've had, and like he's been living in my mind, and he's been a created character for a long time. But this is the first time that I have played him in a D&D game. And going in, I was like, I don't want him to become the stereotype. Like, I don't want him to be like, when you think of D&D, you think of the horny bard. Like, that's not, I wanted to play into the trope a little bit. But first of all, he's obviously not a bard. He's an Echo Knight. But like, there's a lot of backstory, and I think it's my theater person. I think I went a little too hard with the backstory. There's a reason that he is the way that he is, and why he acts the way that he acts, and I don't want to get to it too soon. But then there's also that part of me in the back of my mind who's like, am I being too much? Is this too much? Am I like bordering on the line of being like too inappropriate? Is it annoying? Is it, so like I try to be very conscious of like, okay, we'll feed into it a little bit in this moment, but in the next moment, maybe you see a glimmer of who Nalfian really is. Like when the way he interacts with Twig is very different than how he interacts with Eurydice. And the way he interacts with Grok is different than how he interacts with Izzy. So like, trying to find a balance with this character, I think, has been a very big challenge. It's been fun, but it's definitely a challenge. So,
Yeah. No,
but thank you for your kind words. Like, I appreciate it. But it's still a challenge, so.
Oh, no, and I definitely understand that. It is hard to play characters that go back and forth between those... not just those two, but between any two different personalities, where they act different to different people, because it's a lot of brain power work, a lot of big brain energy on your end to know, okay, when is it right to act like this, and when should I not? So, moving on from there, this has kind of been a trope with the other groups where I've just been asking them a what if question about their character. But I kind of want to know, like, if your character was not the class that they are, right? If they hadn't been a wizard or they hadn't become a fighter Echo Knight, like, what's something else that would maybe make sense for them? That would maybe make sense for them, but is different than what they are now. Like, maybe they're not even still part of this party, but they're just their own person. What path would they have gone down if they weren't a wizard or an Echo Knight?
Jareth, you go first.
Okay. Mine's fairly easy. Not a lot has been said about my backstory or what Izzy's goals are yet, so I have to be very careful in this.
Yeah.
But ultimately, and trying to be as vague as possible, with Izzy's line of work, one of her primary goals is to become a magic shop owner, where she crafts items and identifies and do that. However, she does have other goals that honestly would have led her to the adventuring life for a period of time, no matter what. So, unfortunately for her, adventuring would have had to been a part of her life at one point or another. Ultimate goal is once her other goal is completed, she would set up shop permanently somewhere and compete with her Magus Cassius mentor for who's the better magic shop owner.
Which is really... So would you think then like Artificer then? For like an alternate class from Wizard?
Yes. I was toying with that a little bit. But then you kind of helped me inspire. You kind of challenged me. Like, I could see you being a jerk as an assassin, and as a wizard, you'd probably be worse. I was like, you know what? Let's do it. And so I went wizard.
Yeah. Okay, cool. And then, Kayla, what about you? For Nalfian, what does a different life for Nalfian look like?
Yeah, that's hard too without going into backstory stuff as well, and like without changing backstory stuff. So, like, honestly, Nalfian, I mean, this is gonna sound edge boy for life right here, but like, he was trained and forced his entire life to be the way that he is, so fighting is just in his blood, and I don't think he would, in terms of a different class, I don't necessarily think he would be any other class than a fighter, honestly. But if he wasn't adventuring with this group, like I said, that Rolling Stone lifestyle, I mean, he would still be in a fighting pit somewhere, and maybe just moving on from town to town, continuing to fight, and with the way that he was thinking and the way that things had happened to him, he'd be happy to die there, not thinking he deserved much else. Ooh, that was so edgy. But like, he would be in a fighting pit and just coming and going place to place, which is not much of a career, but that's all he knows, really, if that makes sense.
No, I honestly think maybe for like an alternate class, like just because of since I know his backstory, that something like a barbarian I think would almost like
Yeah, I can see that for
because
sure.
there's
When
still
he gets
martial.
angry.
Yeah, there's still martial training there, because
Yeah.
you still have to know how to use the weapons. But then also having to sometimes that rage just slips into him. So instead of that rage being shown in the Echo Knight, it's literally like that he doesn't need something to show that rage, where he is that rage.
Right.
All right, Trouble.
I agree with that, absolutely. I think it's, the Shadow Knight is like him separating himself from the two parts of who he is, and like that other half physically manifesting. But like as a barbarian, you've unlocked his final form.
Yeah. Okay. Alrighty. Cool. Well, that is about all the time we had for all three of the different campaigns. This was a lot of fun. I like talking about it. It's nice to theorize, and so the goal is to every Sunday be here for an hour with two different people every time, different combinations, and just talk about stuff. Because I really think that these players, not just Isles, but Salamander Coast and Afera, they do a really, really wonderful job of creating these really interesting, really awesome characters. So I always want to be able to talk about them. So that's it for the show. I will say we're going to go offline for maybe a half an hour. We're going to do some prep work. We're going to do some things, and then we'll be back for a short sort of pickup session, about an hour and a half, 2 hours long, for the Isles of Avarion. I wasn't exactly feeling so hot last night, so we cut it off early. We're going to be back in about a half an hour to play that. So if you would like to tune in for that, be back here in a half an hour. We're going to go offline, though. And yeah, the party's going to see about trying to do as much damage to a bolt full of Minotaurs as they can. I'm super excited to see what whack-ass plans they come up with, because it's going to be some good stuff. Also, it gives me a chance to figure out why Trouble loves me so much in this current moment. Which sounds like a strange problem to have, but he's really
Got
just...
some catnip in your pocket?
I guess so. He is needy. Okay, but thank you so much for watching, and I hope that, I hope that we see you in about a half an hour. Alrighty.
Bye.
And we are...
Bye, everyone.
Bye.